over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company.
Welcome to the
Hello, everybody, and greetings from the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. I'm Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, along with Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons, and this is the Goatee Sports Page. Tennessee takes the week off, but Georgia and Alabama will go to work against each other, and as usual, we're going to the whistle blows. Welcome back, everyone, to another week of the Goatee Sports Page. Donnie Moore will report the latest on the local high school football scores and follow up with the national sports scene. Marcus Fitzsimmons will be on board to update us on the greatest happenings in local high school sports. He's got Alcoa volleyball on the agenda along with Eagleton football. And I will jump in and talk some UT football and then set the stage for some of the top games in today's national college football schedule. We're happy to have all of you with us, and I've got a few announcements before we get started. Jenna Wagner will be joining the Goatee Sports Page crew as promotion and advertising in a promotion and advertising capacity. Donnie, that was announced this week.
It was. It sure was, Mike, and we're glad to have Jenna on board with the team. She'll do a fantastic job over at Goatees and take care of us on Facebook.
Yeah, and we're also happy to have this morning Heath Dunkel with us, the broadcaster there at Alcoa High School football. Is that right, Heath? And
yes, sir.
Welcome to the Goatee Sports Page. I hope we're not a bad influence on you. Huh?
No, you guys will be just fine. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, well, it's time for Let Her Rip. So let's. I guess I had something planned, Donnie, and last night we had a little controversy in college football down in Miami. We had
to change that.
Yeah, we had Virginia Tech at 2-2 going down to play the number 7th ranked Hurricanes. Yes. Virginia Tech, a team that had gotten beat by Vanderbilt, I believe, in their first game of the year. Right. Bud was picked to win the ACC before the year, and it went right down to the last 3 seconds, and Virginia Tech threw a Hail Mary into the end zone, and the call was a touchdown, which would have given them the game. I think the score was 38-34 before that play took place, and then it took forever and ever and ever on the replay, then they overturned it. And I guess the question I'm going to pose, and I'll start with you, Heath, is we talk about indisputable evidence. I looked at that thing 4, 5, 6 times, even looked at it again this morning. I'm not seeing that call. I'm just not seeing a reversal on that call if they're going by indisputable evidence.
Yeah, we were talking about it before we came on the air, is whatever call you make on the field, when they go to the review, there has to be indisputable evidence to overturn it. And I think that was the big question mark that took so long as they went through that review, is they tried all of the different angles and said, okay, are we finding anywhere as their indisputable evidence? They even went to the ref in the booth, and he even said, hey, I just don't think there's enough. I think it's going to stay as called. You wonder if being at Miami had a little bit of influence on how that ultimately was called, but what a tough way to lose for Virginia Tech after dropping it for Vanderbilt, after losing to Rutgers, and in a game against the number 7 team in the country that they thought very well. A lot of people thought Miami would run them over, but Miami has struggled the last few seasons to start ACC play. They did it again last night, and they almost lost that one to Virginia Tech.
They did, and I'll tell you what, Marcus, I'm going to let you in on this, but in my opinion, why it took so long, I think the ACC commissioner made a call and say, hey, Miami's our team, and it's the best chance we got to get into the playoffs with Miami being number 7 right now. And look at the landscape of the rest of the league. Can't take this game away from them right here at home. They're our best shot. So I think that maybe there was a telephone call made. I don't know. I'm just now. This is me talking here. I don't have any evidence.
Do you believe that the commissioner of the Average Coast Conference would make a call to his officials to make that kind of influence? Makes perfect and absolute sense to me.
Well, under the circumstances, it's not a bad thought.
What are you going to do? Hang your postseason on NC State?
Yeah.
I mean,
or Clemson. Clemson, they're.
I can't help but think that there was influence, unintentional, intentional, because of, I think, the setting. And it's going to be questioned. It's going to be one of those question marks that's going to hang out there. And
Sure it is.
if Miami is still undefeated at season end, it's going to be like that asterisk that sits by the Arkansas game on Tennessee's 98 season with the fumble, because this is just like there is no indisputable evidence that the official on the field was wrong.
Yeah.
You're not going to find any.
I will say, though, one thing I would throw in, if you watch that final drive, and I know, Donnie, you were talking a minute ago, you were watching the game too, is the clock management was extremely poor by Virginia Tech, moving that football down the field. They were really taking a lot of time when they really didn't have it. And you saw one time where they delayed about 20 seconds and then ultimately called a timeout and got themselves down to about only 20 seconds left. And I was watching the game going, you just wasted 20 seconds not calling a play, then burning a timeout. Like, what are you doing? And so I think while, again, the play is the play, and we can talk about that, I think that's also another storyline on top of the fact that they wouldn't have had that problem had they not faked the field goal earlier in the game.
Yes.
Had they kicked the field goal, it would have been a one-point ball game. A field goal would have won it.
Sure.
But because they faked it, Miami snuffed it out, they had to score a touchdown in that
And the
moment.
thing is,
True.
if you're playing Virginia Tech, what are the two things you prepare for? A fake special teams play
Yeah.
of some sort,
Special
a fake
teams
punt or a
wrinkle.
fake field goal, and you work on your kick protection. Those are the two things you do when you play Virginia Tech. So it's not like they were going to sneak up and surprise somebody by faking it.
Yeah.
And
It's
if-
like
if-
expecting Eli Graff to be surprise somebody with a fake punt at Alcoa at this
John,
point.
if you go back to Miami's last drive, they had a fourth down. Had a fourth down on 3, I think, that they converted on.
Yeah.
That was real big right there. And Virginia Tech was playing real well on defense, at the time. So.
Well, and on that 4th and 3, the receiver fell. He was like on his back when he made the catch.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a pretty wild play, and Miami got real lucky on that one. But man,
Aren't they
what a way to end
lucky
it.
he fell down? Because if he hadn't, it'd have hit him in the feet.
Yeah,
If he'd been standing where he was supposed to be.
yeah, it
Well-
wasn't a great throw.
Anyway, if you get right down to it now, you got a 7th-ranked Miami team that just barely beat a Virginia Tech team that got beat by Vanderbilt in the first game of the year. So,
And Rutgers.
Now, if I'm Missouri, I'm making my case on that one. You penalized us, but hey, at least we beat Vanderbilt.
yeah. Hey, let's talk about Tennessee and their game a little bit. Last week with Oklahoma, the Vols traveled out to Norman, and they got a huge road win. They're now 4-0 and 1-0 in the conference. And I guess, Heath, my first question is, did the game go as you expected? The Vols in the past under Heupel 1-9 when scoring below 30 points. Well, they scored below 30 points in Norman, and they got away with it.
Yeah, I honestly I expected originally for this game to be a little bit further apart between Oklahoma and Tennessee. I thought Tennessee would pull away and really kind of open this thing up as the game progressed. But I think what really made the difference was Heupel started to realize that field was in terrible condition. There were a lot of injuries that were starting to pile up on that field because of how bad the field was. You even saw Squirrel White on one play get a kickoff return and try to make a move and fall because the field just wasn't great. And I think at that point, and starting to see the injuries pile up, seeing his linemen out because he had Lance Hurd who didn't play, John Campbell got hurt, and trying to protect his quarterback, that he ultimately went to the second half saying, hey, I feel comfortable enough that I think we can start taking our foot off the gas, running the football, and just burning this clock out and getting out of there. So it didn't necessarily go the way I thought in regards to the final score, but I did think Tennessee would pull out the win, and I was glad they were able to.
For the way the game ended score-wise, I thought Tennessee really dominated the football game.
And,
it's really,
because it's
the score was
misleading.
really no indication
Yeah.
of what the domination of the
It's
game was.
misleading
agree.
because you lose sight of the fact that there was that garbage touchdown, because usually a garbage touchdown doesn't matter in a Tennessee score under Heupel, but because it was a low-scoring game, it actually makes it look closer than it really was. And, if Tennessee is playing with the intensity they had in the first half on the last drive, Oklahoma doesn't score. I mean, it ends up being 25-9 in a 3-score game, which is what it really should have been.
Well, I thought both teams, but Tennessee exceptional on the defensive side, and I thought they controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
But Oklahoma's defense played well. I mean, they played well enough to win. I mean, there's not been a whole lot of discussion about Oklahoma's defense, but they did a lot of things right out there but the offense with the 3 turnovers in the first half by them, and the fact that and I got a little concerned there in the beginning when Tennessee had the ball 3 times. The first 3 possessions was in Oklahoma territory, and didn't come out as well as probably should. I think they got maybe 3 points out of all of that, those possessions. So, but it kind of looked like a kind of a defensive struggle. That's the way it was shaping up, to start the game. But Tennessee got some big plays and pulled away. But I thought both teams' defenses and played very well.
Well, and also, too, for a majority of the first start of the season, we really didn't see a lot of James Pierce. They'd kind of been holding him back leading into that football game. And so I was really looking forward to seeing, okay, you're finally going to unleash James Pierce. Let's see what he can do. But I felt like it was the other players, too, on the defensive line who had a really big impact in that game. It was a good battle back and forth. But one of the things I always like to talk about, especially calling the Alcoa football games, is kind of that big that momentum shift in a game where you can really kind of feel it. And what a big blow to momentum for Oklahoma after Nico fumbled, after getting hit at the 5, and then turn around the next play, and Jackson Arnold gives it right back to him. I mean, so brutal for them at that moment. That could have been a pivotal part of the game, and they gave it right back to Tennessee.
Yeah, big play. Special teams for Tennessee. Max Gilbert, 27-yard field goal. Max Gilbert, 41-yard field goal. And Max Gilbert, a 32-yard field goal. So there's 9 points right there on the field goal side. And then you've got Jackson Ross, 8 punts for 387 yards, the longest being 57 yards. I'm telling you, if I'm given a most valuable player in this game, I'm looking at special teams for Tennessee. It was a big factor in this game.
There was a lot of opportunities for special teams to lose the game.
Yeah.
And when you've got a redshirt freshman kicker, I mean, he didn't look like a redshirt freshman out there. He was drilling the field goals and kicking the PATs that he was supposed to kick. He didn't look like he was out there getting nervous, and the cameras never focused on him like he was a freshman and tried to play that storyline. That's usually a sign that you impress them in those TV interviews, like you didn't come across like they thought there was something there they could pick on later. So I was really happy to see that, but that is one of the Tennessee traditions Heupel's embraced, and I think that's the fact that they made getting a kicker a priority 2 years ago before they actually graduated their kicker, I think shows some of that thought they put into the recruiting process.
Yeah. Heath, Brent Venables, he had a 5-star quarterback in Jackson Arnold start the game. That was kind of the storyline, Jackson Arnold against Nico. And, Nico kind of held up his end to a certain extent, but Arnold on the other side didn't look like a 5-star at all. And then toward the end of the first half and all the second half, he went with Michael Hawkins Jr., who was a freshman.
Yeah.
And he was 11 for 18, 132 yards, 1 touchdown. Did he wait too long? Did he wait too long to put him in there?
I mean, I think it's a tough call. I thought Hawkins looked really impressive for a freshman. I believe he's also a legacy player. I think he had family that I believe may have played at Oklahoma. I definitely know he had family who has played professional as well. So he had that legacy coming in. So at the moment didn't appear too big for him. I think he offered a little bit of a different dynamic as well. His legs were able to really kind of make things a little more difficult for the defense to have to focus on. But a tough break, too, for Jackson Arnold. I mean, you got a young redshirt freshman quarterback as well. They're both were young guys. And now you look at how the season's going to shape out the rest of the year. And is this something where Hawkins becomes the guy? And if so, do we see Arnold this offseason enter the portal and now look for his next opportunity, knowing that basically he's probably not going to get the chance again unless Hawkins gets hurt, and now he's going to become number 2.
Yeah,
well, maybe you could try a mid-season transfer. I hear UNLV's in need of somebody.
Well, Hawkins is going to start at Auburn today. So
they need some.
They've made their decision right there. He's a little bit more versatile. Arnold is a stronger quarterback. He's strength-wise. Yeah. But this other kid's got a lot more mobility than what he can. He can make some things happen. So we'll see what happens down at Auburn today. Let's talk about Nico, quarterback here at Tennessee. 13 for 21, 194 yards, 1 touchdown. Had the longest of 66 yards, and then I believe they had 1 called back on a pass play. But you're great on Nico.
I think if I was grading Nico today, I'd probably give him a B+. I thought for the most part, I thought he managed the game well. He had a couple of tough moments, but some of that I think was also protection. He got hit from the blind side, had trouble holding onto the football, but that wasn't completely his fault. I thought he made some really good throws through windows. I'm really impressed with him. I mean, I think we all have been anticipating Nico getting this opportunity, knowing the talent he was and what was coming. And it doesn't hurt that when you're a quarterback of that talent, having your coach be a former quarterback who won a national championship and knows what it takes to be successful. And so he had a great guy to mentor him, and he's had some other guys to really lean on too, getting advice when he needs it from Hendon Hooker, learning last year from Joe, and Joe learned from Hendon. And so I'm really impressed with what I saw from Nico so far. And man, I can't wait to see as this season progresses and then moving into year 2. I think this kid is he's only scratching the surface of his potential.
Yeah. Well, he had the big games before. Competition wasn't as strong as he got out there in Norman. That was a good defense that he faced out there. Really good test for him out there last week. Running backs, Dylan Sampson, 24 carries for 92 yards, and Sean Bishop, 16 carries for 65 yards. Donnie, I'll hit you with that one. Those were tough yards against that Oklahoma defense.
They were tough yards, but I'm telling you what, I think Deshaun Bishop has unlimited potential as well. He's got the speed, he's got the strength, he's got the ability to see the field and make the cuts that's necessary to get open. I mean, this kid can run that football.
Yeah. Heath, Tennessee's into it 4 games right now, and got a good ranking in the country. I think they're, 5th in the country? Is that where they got them right now? Is it 5th?
I believe AP poll has them at 5.
Yeah, 5. And
5 in AP, 6
a lot of people
coaches.
think that's a little low, right now based on what they've done, so far, points they put up and the performance they had out in Norman. But after 4 games, what are you the most comfortable with? Tennessee's offense, Tennessee's defense, their schedule, or the coaching?
That's a great
tough.
Yeah. I mean, I feel pretty good about a lot of it. I think the offense has still got room to grow, and I think that's one, getting healthy on the offensive line, 2, watching Nico continue to kind of figure things out. Defensively, though, I must say, I've been really impressed with this defense.
Me too.
I think Tim Banks has done a phenomenal job with this crew, and also credit to Rodney Garner. He came in for a reason. We were waiting to see, as he started to get more and more guys on his side of the football, what he could do with them, and you're really starting to see him reap the rewards of that now, and us reap the rewards of that as well. So I think the defense has probably been the part of the team that's impressed me the most, and I'm really excited about them. And the thing is, too, is they're not done. They're going to continue to recruit really good defensive linemen, and now that Tennessee's starting to finally have some depth, I think it's not going to just be a one-year thing. I think we're going to continue to see this defensive line be a terror over the next few seasons.
Yeah.
And that, we were worried because we went through 2 years of having the worst secondary in the league outside of Vanderbilt.
We did.
And having that defensive front is giving them such a cushion for those guys to grow up and be playing good opponents and playing against good receivers, but not having to get them when the quarterback's got 5, 6, 7 seconds to find them. So I think that defensive front has helped. And like you said, the depth, when your 10th defensive lineman has 2 tackles for loss and your 12th has a fumble recovery and tackle for loss, I mean, you are deep.
You are indeed.
You're going to wear some offensive lines down with that kind of depth.
Even the best defensive even the best secondary will struggle if you don't have a solid pass rush because you can't guard them forever. And I think that's the one thing we've seen the last few years is that our pass rush has been an issue. And then they start to pick on our DBs and start to really find those holes in the defense as they have more time in the pocket. And so the fact that we're now able to really generate that, I think really helps both in tandem. They kind of work in tandem together. As secondary is looking stronger, I think we've made some good moves in the portal to bring in some talented young men on that side of the ball as well from MTSU, Oregon State, I believe.
Yeah.
And so I think that has helped. But, yeah, they've got to work as a unit, and they're certainly doing that this season and clicking on all cylinders.
Heath, going into the year, Tennessee fans and prognosticators were thinking that, the Vols would go maybe 10-2. Well, Georgia struggled up at Kentucky. Alabama's been so-so. Of course, they play each other today.
Yeah.
How confident are you? I know how confident the Vol base is right now. How confident are you in that Tennessee can run the table and go undefeated this year?
I worry about the Georgia game, especially playing at Georgia. Georgia did struggle against Kentucky, but the one thing I would counter with is Georgia was playing former quarterback Brock Vandergriff, who is now at Kentucky, knows a lot about Georgia, and probably helped give a little bit of that to his team. They were playing at Kentucky as well. Probably one of the toughest tests Georgia had faced so far this season. Clemson really wasn't much of one. And so I think that there was a couple different factors that played into that. This game tonight will really tell us where each of those two teams stand between Georgia and Alabama. What I love is that just like 2 years ago, we've got Florida, we've got Alabama at home. I think there's a great chance for us at home to be able to pull out both of those wins. I think there's a good chance we go into that Georgia game with both teams undefeated, and that being a huge, huge moment in the season. So I think Tennessee has a really good chance of getting through the season with one loss, but two's a possibility, but I don't think they lose any more than that.
Yeah. Marcus, let's talk about losses in the playoff picture, because I think I thought it would boil down to, the Georgia game, the Oklahoma game, and the Alabama game. I thought that was going to tell now the Oklahoma game's off to the side. Let's say the Vols go 10-2 and they lose to Alabama and Georgia. Are they in the playoffs?
I would love to say absolutely, but I can't.
No.
Because
come on, Marcus.
Here's
the two best teams in the country.
Here's why. The way this formula is set, and I'm going to stand on what I said when they announced this, they screwed up and they should have made this 16 and gotten rid of some of this to begin with. What you have with a 12-team format with this many at-large selections is you have all the headaches of a 16-team format as far as your at-larges go, but you've got 4 less spots to fill them with. Because you could be in a situation where you have a 10-2 Tennessee ranked above an 11-1 Missouri, and you're going to have to decide based on what? Strength of schedule? Based on how you project they're going to play, that phantom thing that got Alabama in last year that was not actually a criteria? I mean, you're putting it back in the hands of that committee, and there is no structure, there is no RPI, there is no this is how it's going to be decided type of thing. And so depending on where Tennessee sits, depending on how they look, how many style points they have, how well they played or how few points they lost to Georgia or Alabama by, that's going to impact whether they get in or not.
That's the most rambling answer I've ever heard in my life. They're in, Heath. They're in. They play Georgia and Alabama really tough. It's close football games. They're in.
I think they've built a solid case already.
And they're looking at Tennessee's fan base and all those fans that's going to come and support them and the enthusiasm, and they're in.
Could you imagine a home game?
You think they're in, but if NC State finishes 5-7 and Oklahoma loses at Auburn today, do you still have – who is your signature win at that point?
There you go. You're going to talk about this strength of schedule. I don't think it's going to make any difference. I think if they're 10-2 or 10-2 and it's Alabama and Georgia, I think they're in. Well, let's take another scenario. Let's say they're 10-2 and they lose to either Alabama or Georgia, but they win one of those games, Heath, and they lose to someone else. Let's say they lose to Arkansas, who's, they could be red hot when they go to – I know they're going to be – Arkansas is going to be a big underdog, but they've been on the road and they've played some tough play. They played at Oklahoma State, they played Auburn, now they're at Texas A&M. Let's say they come out of there with one loss, and they should have won the Oklahoma State game, and they go home with some momentum to play Tennessee. Let's say that game or, I don't know. God forbid Florida comes up here. I don't know the chance of that, but let's say somebody else slips in there and gives them a loss. Are they in?
I still think they're in. I think Tennessee's really done a great job so far, resume-wise, proving why they should be in, and I think they're going to do so the rest of the season. I think those games with Georgia and Alabama, whether they win or not, I don't see them being blowouts. I see them being really close football games, and so if you did happen to lose to a team like Arkansas, your only hope is that Arkansas has a great rest of the season and helps you out, but I think Tennessee's still in.
Yeah, I've seen Arkansas play a couple of times, and I really do think they kicked that Oklahoma State game away when they played them out there at Oklahoma State. But they're at they're at Texas A&M. They play at Texas A&M. I think that's on a neutral site today. I'm not sure. I have to check that, but I think it is. And Texas A&M is a ranked football team. If they was to win that game, they're going to go 4-1. And they've got a nationally ranked Tennessee team coming into Fayetteville next week.
Yeah.
That could garner some more attention than what was previously thought, going in. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a big game for both teams in SEC play. Texas A&M today, who's going to be the quarterback for the Aggies? Are they going to go with Weigman? Are they going to go with Marcel Reed, the former NBA product here in Tennessee? So I'm curious to see how that game shapes up today. But Sam Pittman, a good coach, trying to do what he can with the Razorbacks after losing his quarterback to the portal this offseason. But, yeah, I mean, I think if they win today, that really sets up an even bigger matchup. And if Tennessee wins it, it only strengthens their case for the playoffs.
Yeah. And Tennessee is off this week, chance to recover from injuries. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because they've built up a lot of momentum. Would you have preferred them to come off this week and be playing at home rather than down at Arkansas, or what's your feelings on that?
Yeah, well, I think one thing Nico said this offseason, which I thought was intriguing, but I really love to hear from a young quarterback, was he would rather play away games than home games. And he said the reason was that those away games, the atmosphere and everyone against you really just kind of revs him up and gets him going. So I don't think necessarily it makes a difference, especially after playing in Norman. I think they're going to be okay in Fayetteville. But also with Tennessee, I think it did come at the right time because you've got John Campbell who got hurt. Lance Hurd, that we still don't know what fully happened with him, but the hope is that it's just an injury and that he will be back for that game. So strengthening that line and having some more time to do so, I think, is pivotal.
Yeah. The teams in front of Tennessee in the rankings, Ohio State really hasn't been tested. You got Alabama and you got Georgia, going at each other, and they really haven't been tested. Do you think Tennessee should be ranked higher right now than they are?
I think it's a fair ranking at the moment. I want to see Tennessee play a few more for tough opponents to really determine where they need to go. But there's a lot of great teams ahead of them at the moment. You look at Texas, who's had a really good season so far. A great indicator, too, of where Texas stands today. They play their first SEC game of their career. So we'll get to see how they do, I believe, against Mississippi State. I think they should run the table in that one.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. Yeah, they're 5 now, but 1 and 4 are playing today. Somebody's going to lose. There's some natural decimation that's going to happen in front of Tennessee that even though they're off today, they can still go up on the strength of last week's win.
Yeah. When
the next poll comes out.
I tell you, looking at these games, you look at Miami, they're ranked number 7, and you look at the way games have gone so far here early, that the games that really matter. I think that transfer portal has really made a large effect on the college game, because I think there are teams that are apt to, that can upset you any given week.
Yeah.
That may have lost a couple of games. So I think that top 12 is going to be really tough to pick when you get right down to it.
Yeah.
Especially, I wouldn't want to pick that 12th team or that 11th team, because I think there's going to be some squads hanging right in there, maybe 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 that somebody can make an argument as far as getting into the playoffs. So by going to 12, we're not going to cut out the arguments, right?
No.
I don't think.
No, it's just like March Madness. Even when they expanded it, you still were having people argue that they should have gotten in. While there's more opportunity to get in now, which is great, there's still going to be some arguments of people making that they should or shouldn't have gotten in. At least this season, we know. I think we can all agree now, even their fan base, Florida State ain't getting in.
No. No, there's not going to be any argument. And they're underwater anyway.
No, but in my mind, I'm just wondering, we get down to a week to play in the season, into November, week before Thanksgiving, and we're looking at a Miami team that's managed to lose 2 games and a Clemson team that's lost 2 games, and they're going to play in the ACC championship. And I'm just thinking, they're not going to leave that second team out. They're going to sacrifice somebody who's got a better record to get both of these teams in.
Yeah. Hey, this segment has been sponsored by the Cherokee Group and Murphy's Bobcat. We'll take a timeout here, and when we return, Donnie Moore will provide high school scores and news from around the area, and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons joins us with his feature Mark It Down. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925. Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
Welcome back to the Goatee Sports Page. Donnie Moore, I'm coming to you to get some high school football scores, but the real winner has been the weather.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Last night, anyway.
The scores today are kind of slim. A lot of rescheduled and postponed games that have been rescheduled. Some for today, some for later on in the season. But we'll get right to it right here for this section of our show entitled "The Mandy B. Street Realty Local Scoreboard." Thanks to Mandy B. Street Realty for sponsoring this segment. In prep football, last night Alcoa was supposed to host Union County. I said supposed to, in a region contest. That one has been postponed and rescheduled until Monday, October the 28th.
Monday Night Football.
Yes, a month away.
And they're gonna play them 3 days after Maryville and 5 days before Kingston.
Yep, that's true.
So 3 games in 8 days.
A rivalry game and a region game right there. 2 region games in 7 days. Goodness. That's not only tough on the coaching staff, but that's really tough on the players.
I suspect that we're going to see a lot of the second team get some work in those region games.
I think you're right. I think they'll have to. I don't think they'll have any choice. But
you guys think it's rough on the players? Hey, those players would rather play games than practice.
They'd rather play than practice, wouldn't they, Mike?
Hey, absolutely.
I agree with that.
Absolutely.
I agree with that. Eagleton went ahead and had their game last night, hosted Wartburg Central, and smacked them around a little bit, 36-20. We've got Coach Justin Ridge here with us, and he'll be talking about that.
You gave away the surprise, Donnie.
Sorry about that.
Gosh. Okay.
He'll be talking about that a little later in the next segment. Greenback versus Oneida was not played last night, but will be played according to the TSSAA website on October the 18th, Friday the 18th at 7:30.
Now, they both had that scheduled as a bye week originally.
Okay. Well,
that was basically the region bye week. It's a week later than everybody else's. So that's a possibility.
That's a possibility.
But I say that, but Oneida's not in that region, so I don't know if that's actually going to work out. But maybe they'll get played. It doesn't have to get played. It's not a region game.
No, it's not a region game, so it's not absolutely necessary. And so we'll see how it goes. Heritage was supposed to travel to Knox West last night, postponed because of impending weather situations. Will be played. Well,
I'm going to go ahead and say this because we're going the next 2 games. This one and the next one you're going to mention.
Okay, yeah, we are.
Knox County Schools made a decision that there would not be school on Friday.
Closed schools.
And by the letter of their policy, if school is closed, athletic events are canceled. And
As
they
is
chose
Blount County's policy.
but Knox County chose
don't
to
go by
follow
it.
the letter of their policy and
anymore.
canceled all athletic events.
Used to be.
So that forced all the Knox County games to be moved to most of them got moved to today. So Heritage is visiting Knox West at 3 o'clock
Today at 3 o'clock. So they will head over to Sutherland Avenue and play Knox West at 3 today. Maryville was supposed to host Hardin Valley Academy last night. That one is being played as we speak.
Yeah, has anybody checked
Started
Coach T for that one for the score? I have a prediction.
And thanks to our friend Steve Hodgson, we have an update on that one. Maryville's ahead of Hardin Valley, 21-0.
Okay, I was off
already.
I was off by 7.
Good. Thanks, Hod. Appreciate you being here. William Blount was supposed to travel to Science Hill last night. That would have been a long trip to play in the wind and the rain, but that one is happening today. They have to take that trip today and play at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
That one is still on. Last I heard, I know there was some discussion and concern, maybe not between officials, but between some things floating around social media because there's a flood impact zone on 81 between here and there.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
I believe that game is still on. Last we heard.
Okay, all right. As far as we know, you heard it first right here. Seymour was supposed to go to Cherokee last night. Postponed here again. That one will be played hopefully today at 7:30. Right, Marcus?
That
That one
was
was canceled,
Yeah.
according to
Coach
Justin
Ridge,
Coach Ridge has
I had
to
heard,
tell us that.
I had heard it was, but I had not received an official from Seymour yet about it.
All right, very good. Okay, so that one will not be played today. TKA traveled to Providence Christian Academy in a region contest last night and were victorious. The Providence Christian Academy was victorious, 17-14. TKA loses another one.
Well, I knew they were away because I couldn't hear the stadium speakers last night.
That's
so,
right. You always do, don't you?
But it's like we've said before. The Lions are working and rebuilding, and
Yeah, they are. And
They're-
they're
they're gonna have to
going to take their lumps this
they're
year.
going to have to. It is turbulent waters in Division II
Yeah, it is.
of TSSAA right now. So some of these transitionals and some of the things going on of who's in, who's not, and who has a team, and whether you're A or 2A is really creating some mismatches, which is tough on the smallest schools, which is where TKA falls.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, anyway, that's the scores that we have so far and the makeup games that are scheduled
But let
and
me
the ones that are not. Go ahead, Marcus.
Let me go ahead and preface this one because we had a couple other things that have been moved around. So the Maryville Heritage soccer game, which is very important on the girls' side this year
Yeah, it
because
is.
that is going to, district seating-wise, be extremely important. That's been moved to Monday night.
Okay.
It was supposed to be played on Thursday. Alcoa's soccer game was also moved to Monday night.
Right.
That will decide the district championship as who gets the number 1 seed. On time, but still being played Monday night where it was supposed to be, but to give them a little bit of a shout-out, Blount County Volleyball Championship for the public schools is going to be Monday night, where it's Maryville, Heritage, Alcoa, and William Blount.
Right.
So the big schools are having that championship on Monday night. And then
Where's that one being played?
that will be played at William Blount this year.
At WB.
And
Okay.
then also the Region 1 Small Schools Golf Tournament is also on Monday. And
Wow,
as
busy day.
last I heard, it is still on. It has not been affected. But I believe that one's up in Morristown, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
But it's going to be a busy day on Monday with a lot of the
It-
things that
it
have
really
gotten
will
moved.
be.
So it's going to be it's going to be a busy Monday. A lot coming up prep wise next week. Because we'll also see some of the district tournaments get underway. I think Eagleton's hosting their district volleyball tournament starting on Tuesday as well. So it's going to get busy.
Hey, Donnie, last night would have really been a pretty good night to play football. It wasn't bad at all
Yeah.
last night. And everybody's put this artificial turf in all their schools. They should have just gone ahead and put it to use last night, right? All that money they spent, huh? That's what they spent it on, wasn't it? So if it rained, you wouldn't have to worry about the grass and everything.
I mean, I'll go through the decision we made to play. The only concern we had was wind gusts for Wartburg traveling.
Yes.
And the wind, and we went back and forth about, okay, we're going to play Saturday, we're going to play tonight, and finally they looked at the weather. They felt comfortable traveling because the wind gusts really died down after 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
So there was no danger in traveling for them. The conditions, I mean, it was the first Friday night it felt like football weather.
Yeah.
So it was a great.
Yeah, and you got the artificial turf over there too,
right.
don't you?
It was dry as a bone after
money well spent.
After the wind blew for 3
Yes,
or 4
it
hours
did.
right before the game. So yeah, it was a great night.
Yeah.
I was impressed watching that game. The flags on top of the goalpost. During the first quarter, it was going this way. And the second quarter is going back this way. At one point, it was going this way, and the American flag was going that way.
Wow.
I mean, about 10 or 12 feet
Swirly.
up, you could tell the wind difference. And when
Uh-huh.
the rain came for that brief, 7 or 8 minutes, it was blowing in 2 different directions depending on what light pole you were looking at. It was a crazy night as far as some of the things that were going on atmospherically.
I'm sure.
And the great part about it, if you had all the rain, you didn't have no lightning.
Right.
You know what?
That,
It was
that
just
was the
rain.
other thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was pending thunderstorms. It
Right.
was just hurricane-related rain.
Yeah.
So it was almost perfect weather, except for just a little sprinkle or two.
Sure.
I brought it with me when I got over there.
You
I got
did.
there a little bit late
You did.
because I just wanted to. I didn't have a game last night, from what Donnie said. I went to the only game in town just to hang out and watch.
There you go. There you go.
Um,
If everybody could have played at starting about around 10 a.m. yesterday until maybe 11 or 11:30,
What
we
are
were
they?
right in the
What
eye
are
of the hurricane, and the sun was even shining.
What are they selling down here at Maryville in the concession stand? Bacon and eggs, orange juice, or what? Pancakes?
Brunch.
Gosh, almighty! 10
Well,
o'clock.
it's if somebody had been on the ball, like the soccer team or somebody, they could have had their pancake breakfast this morning in the concession stand.
Exactly. Yeah.
No question.
But Donnie, you want to give me the official intro for
I
this?
do, brothers. Thanks to Mandy B. Street for sponsoring our segment this week, and that'll be all for the local scoreboard. And now I'm going to punt it to veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons for his feature. Mark it down after I tell you you're listening to WKCE 92.5 FM and 1180 AM Mid-Century Radio. Marcus?
Just great music.
It is.
We love listening.
We
to
do,
We love
yeah.
listening before we come on.
No doubt.
It's one of the great things about this show is where we are and what we do is we get great music as we set up, and we get to smell the pizza cooking.
No doubt. Yes,
So
we do.
there are benefits to being at Bluetick and having the station we do.
Thanks to Bluetick, by the way, for hosting us. They're a great place to be, and we call it home here. So we appreciate Bluetick Tavern and for hosting our show.
So you gave away my special guest, but you didn't give
did.
away all of them.
No, I didn't.
We're joined by the victorious Eagleton football team,
Yes.
representatives thereof. Assistant coach Justin Ridge is here, and sneaking into the side very quickly, very slyly, which is very appropriate after the game he had last night, is running back Colton Relation. Guys, thanks for joining us this morning. And, Coach, I'll start with you. It couldn't have homecoming because you don't have a graduating class yet to come back. So it was alumni night, but getting a win for alumni night has still got to be just as good a feeling as winning for a homecoming game.
Yeah, it was a special night because there's so many people that went to Eagleton Junior High and Eagleton Middle School, and very proud of the tradition they had there. And then, like you said, we don't have alum from the high school for homecoming, but we were able to bring them in and put on a pretty good show, I think, for them. And we start, second year varsity football. You see the crowds pick up and pick up and pick up. So I thought it was a really good atmosphere last night. We're the only game in town, so really, really proud of of the crowd that we had, and then just the players showing up and playing well.
Now, the young guy sitting beside you had a heck of a night. 3 touchdown runs, I believe. One of them just impressive with the speed you put on turning the corner out there. But we got to ask, where did Colton come from? Where's Eagleton been hiding this guy for the last?
I mean, first of all, I love this guy. I've coached him since the 4th grade in wrestling, youth wrestling, and last year he got 5th in the state at 126 in wrestling, which is really good, but 126. So this year he
doesn't look 126 anymore.
So we were looking for a little bit more at running back, and then a couple weeks ago we pulled the trigger. He's a great receiver, so it's hard to move a kid who's excelling, but we gave him a chance there at running back, and man, he exploded last week, and then this week is just incredible. As the offensive line coach, he makes me look a lot better. So
well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but watching him last night, he hits the hole very quickly.
That's what I love as the line coach is like, okay, we can give you this much. You can get us 7 yards. We give you this much, you get a touchdown. So he hit it just like you want to see it. And I think I'm really proud of that because that shows a confidence in him, that he has a confidence in his O-line to if you don't think they're going to block, you're not going to hit it hard. So he's got that trust in the O-line and trust that in his own ability that when he takes off, he's going to do something big.
Colton, we'll put you on the spot. You can't teach somebody how to run north and south, but you run north and south. Is that just instinctive? How did you kind of develop this running style that you have?
I don't know, just hit it hard. That's what they told me. Just hit the hole hard and just go.
They just pointed you at it and said run that way, and you Forrest Gumped it. And
yeah, just do it.
Okay.
We have different tags that tell the landmarks for the running backs, and if they'll just trust it and go, there'll be something there, and obviously he's done that.
I want to know. You broke loose on that big one last night. Like I said, you got to the outside and made that turn. There wasn't but one guy that even had a chance of catching you. I just want to know, how big did your eyes get as you were coming in on the end zone, and were you thinking any of those thoughts like, don't drop the ball, don't drop the ball?
No, I was pretty big for sure. Really excited. Just, pretty nice.
And I'm going to say, and Coach, you can pick me up on this, but I was watching, and a time or two where, Colton's blocking because it's a pass play. And he's got a linebacker or defensive lineman coming at him where he's given up 50 or 60 pounds in a couple inches. They're not getting through him.
No,
his footwork and his positioning is very, very solid. Is that something from wrestling? Does that help when it comes to those taking on those kind of situations?
I'd say kind of.
I mean, the physicality for sure, and I know I've watched the film a couple times already, and there's a couple times sprint out pass. Colton's just throwing his body in there against a big dude, and pass protection or a run jet sweep to Lane Cope. He's out there just putting his face mask in somebody, and that's what you want out of a running back. It's not just I'm just going to carry the ball and do this. I got blocked too, and we didn't really have to coach that too hard on Colton. He naturally wants to do that.
Well, I see a lot of overlap between some of the wrestlers who we saw at the state tournament last year and some of the stars on the football team right this season. You've got Cope, you've got Relation, you've got Click. I mean, these guys are making impacts, and they're doing it in a very technique-savvy sort of way. I guess I want to say it. They're making good tackles. They're using good form. They've got good footwork, and it just feels like a lot of that is crossing over between the two sports.
Yeah, you're helping me recruit wrestlers for the winter season here. But yeah, there's no better sport you can do for coordination and toughness and physicality than wrestling. So I think it's not a coincidence that those three guys really show up. And we got Jonathan Joyle, the right tackle, number 55. He's a wrestler too. Adam Fife, number 9, outside linebacker, fullback. He's a wrestler. So it's very complimentary.
So Colton, it must have been a big deal for you guys to win last night and get back to 3-3.
Yeah.
Y'all got 4 games left to go. What is this? What does the team want to do with these last 4 games? Is it just to get in the playoffs, or you all have higher goals than that?
We're hoping to for sure do better than how we done last season. Probably get a little higher up, get more wins than we did last year for sure.
And Coach, you got sort of the same question. You all got 4 big games, winnable games in almost every situation, but that next one up is one that's a kind of a question mark because it's last year's defending region champion that's did not start very well this year.
Yeah, Hampton is honestly one of those games we circled because how it went last year and used it for motivation. We're looking forward to that game. We're not sure about that game because they got hit really hard with the dam.
They sure did.
Their field was underwater. I don't know what the status is now, so we don't know what's going to happen with that game. Whenever that game's played, wherever that game's played, we really want that game. And I would say worse than any. And at the beginning of the season, obviously we've lost by 8 points, 13 points. There's not a game we couldn't have won so far, and we don't think there's a game we can't win moving forward.
And one thing, and I was talking about this before you all came in, but we were talking about misleading scores. We're talking about the Tennessee game. When people see 36-20 from last night, that is misleading.
Mm.
There were 2 late touchdowns, but I saw that as a sign of success because you all had second string guys on the field.
Yeah, I mean, our focus once we got to the running clock, once we got 36-6, I'm like, well, what young linemen can I play? How can we? Because we still don't have a true backup quarterback because Mason Mitchell's ineligible until the week after next. So we have to play Nate, and we want to protect Nate. We don't want to, but on defense, we put our full JV in. So in a perfect world, they would have put their full JV in. We'd play at a quarter JV, but they didn't. They were still wanting to try to win the game, and I respect that. But yeah, they put a couple on us late.
And that works in a way because your JV's getting the experience against first team guys, and
Right.
that pays off.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always happen, especially in 2A and 1A. And there's some Greenback. Sometimes there's not enough guys for a JV.
Correct. Yeah.
The fact that you all have enough for a JV and have been able to play some JV games, right? That's a huge step up and a leg up for the program, right?
Correct. I've always been a big believer in JV. It's actually my favorite day of the week is Monday when we get to play. So I do want to go back to the wrestlers.
Okay, we'll let you go back to the wrestlers.
Freshman Kendall Click has started every game on the offensive line. He's a wrestler. He's Tyson's little brother. He kind of gets overlooked a little bit because he's Tyson's little brother, but he started varsity in wrestling last year as an 8th grader, and he is doing a great job up front as a freshman. And I think the wrestling definitely helped him.
Now, knowing, because I was peeking ahead on some of when that wrestling calendar starts, there's kind of a conflict there for Colton because if you all are in the playoffs and playing in the second round, you're eating into the wrestling season. Is that okay? I mean, is that hurt a little bit? You might have to move some things back in the wrestling season.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's a great thing, missing out on some wrestling things.
So
but I'm
willing to sacrifice that?
Yeah, I'll sacrifice it. Yeah.
Okay. So you're willing to give one up for the team there.
There we go.
I guess, Coach, you all have come so far with this program, and there's some shout outs I know that you all have as to people that are helping make this team work, especially when you got players from both schools working in that co-op and doing all that stuff together. Who are some of those folks that are just helping out and maybe we don't see on the sideline?
Well, I would say number one, is the principal at Eagleton, Mark Dallin, to start a whole high school and from scratch, basically. He's done a terrific job in supporting the team and helping us grow. We have some really good parents that volunteer and support the kids and feed the kids on Friday nights. But really, it's just been these kids, stepping out and being the first, being the pioneers, being the guys who, believe in Eagleton whenever there's no previous history. They're building everything. It's really just them. And easily they could have figured out somewhere else to go and play football and they're here and they're doing well. So those parents that trusting us with their kids and those kids trusting us to move forward in the sport of football is really what it's all about. And at the end of the day, whatever we accomplish, they can be more proud than anybody because they're the first to do it.
And I think I'll close with that. But Colton, you're junior, right?
Yes, sir.
So this first senior class is going to go out in front of you. But is this junior class going to be ready to lead a year from now when it's your turn? Are you guys thinking like that it's going to be our turn and these guys we've been with for 3 years aren't going to be here anymore?
Yeah, I think we're ready. Yeah, for sure.
All right, that's what I want to hear. Guys, thanks for coming in. Congratulations on the victory, getting to 3-3. Best of luck for the rest of the season. And Colton, thanks for getting up on a Saturday morning because I know you were playing late on Friday night. So getting up to hang out with us we appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
And Mike, I guess we'll go ahead and turn the page.
Okay, Marcus, it's time to turn the page and announce the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Marcus, you're bringing them on, right?
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net. For over 90...
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew, and now it's time for the Goatee Sports Page Player of the Week segment featuring Daily Times senior reporter Marcus Fitzsimmons, sponsored by Anderson Lumber Company, where quality service is always a priority. Proudly serving Blount County for over 75 years. Marcus Fitzsimmons, I'm not going to spoil who you got on here, so.
Well, thanks, Mike.
I'm going to turn it over to you, buddy.
You just didn't want to try to pronounce one of the last names. I know what it is. We got Alcoa volleyball joining us this morning, and I think we were their out because if they were with us, they didn't have to work the JV tournament. Is that true? Is that how it worked out? Okay, good. I'm glad to know we had something going in our favor. But we have, and I'm going to ask you to wave at the camera as I call your name. Riley Savage, Emery Gamble, and Dylan Jablonski. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Okay. Point for me. Okay, so, and I guess I can officially say regular season district champions after this week.
Yes.
Well, one of you's excited about it. That's good. And that came pretty convincingly, I'm going to say. I'm not going to put you on the spot to say that, but this is a good run through the district for you, and I'll pick on Riley first just because she's in the middle. But what did it mean for you guys when you got done with that match and you knew you had the number 1 seed? How big a moment was it?
I'm not gonna lie. At first, I didn't know that that was for the number 1 seed, but after I realized, like, it was just really fun to be with the team after, and we had like our student section there, and it was just good to know that our hard work throughout the season and practice like had paid off for that moment.
And Emory, I'm going to take y'all back a little bit. You all had a big match a couple weeks ago with Anderson County. That one seemed to have been circled, possibly. Would that be true to say that you all were looking forward to getting another shot at Anderson County?
Since we were so close to taking them to 5 sets, we wanted to beat them on our home court. So since we had another shot on our home court, wanted to beat them.
And Dylan, I'm going to put you on the spot. Because I know because I have a roster to cheat off of. But can you tell me everybody's position? Can you tell me the 3 of you here?
Oh, yeah.
Not everybody on the team, just the 3 of you here.
Yeah, me and Riley are both outsides, and then Emery's our libero.
Okay, so for the people that don't understand that because they have not been fortunate enough to watch volleyball, what's the job for the outsides?
We play all the way around, both of us, and when we're on the net, we are hitting, and then when we're back row, we play middle back, and we both serve, and we just basically, I don't know, we just play all the way around, so we kind of got to do everything a little bit.
So when you're on the outside, there is that one special advantage that you're getting every so often that chance to just see how high you can get up there and how hard you can hit it.
Yeah.
Is that the attraction to be on the outside?
Yeah, it's definitely fun. When you get a kill and everybody starts screaming, it's exciting.
So what is the worst thing that you can do when in that situation? What like can you like if you can you go up and just totally miss it?
Yeah.
Does that
Some
happen?
people do that a lot in practice. I've done it. But
Riley, have you ever whiffed on one?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think that the worst is like when you're in a rally and then like going back and forth, and then you just hit it all the way like to the back wall or like in the net, like you end the point. Especially if you've like been getting balls up and you have you have the chance to win, but then like you yourself, like, I don't want to say ruin it, but
you don't want to give up that side out.
yeah.
But when you get that opportunity, and your eyes can get so big seeing when it's right where you want it.
yeah.
And sometimes you just hit a little bit too hard.
Yeah.
But the other side of that, and I like asking the outsides about this, especially when you're having a good night, it's very tempting to rear back and then just dink it.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a favorite move?
For me personally, I like hitting the back wall a lot. So it happens quite often for me.
Okay. And Riley, what about do you have a short move you like to go to when you got it where you can just tap it? Do you have like a tap move where you just
Like
tip it over the
Oh.
net rather than going for a kill?
It just depends on like how tight the set is on the net. Because that's like my biggest fear is like going under and like making someone roll their ankle or something like that. So I'd just rather play it safe and like tip it over. But definitely when you tip it right to the person behind them, it's like should have just swung.
Sweeping it.
Emery, and so you get the position with the fun name.
Oh, yeah.
So
The one with the different color jersey.
yes, that was where I was
Always.
going to next. Why is it that you all get to wear the different color jersey? It's not like soccer where you're in the
Just-
keeper in the net.
Just so the people doing like volley right, so you can differentiate. Since I'm going in for 2 different people, so you can differentiate that I'm the one that's like switching in and out, in and out.
And is the primary role there is more of a set and pass than to be at the net, correct?
Yeah, just always in the back row, just being everywhere in the back row.
So do you know where both of these two want the ball when on a set? Do you know how high they want it and where they want it?
Well, always having it high. I know whenever it's out of system, I have to get it high. I can be bad at that sometimes, but I know I have to get it high. Dylan likes it more like on the net, and Riley likes it a little bit more off the net. But I know if it's out of system, I just have to get it high enough to where they can hit it. 5 and 5 is usually preferred, 5 feet off the net and 5 feet on the net, just in that little square.
That's really easy to say, but I'm going to bet that's a little harder to actually
Very
do.
hard, very hard. Not easy to execute.
So we'll talk a little bit about the season. You come out of play day and it's a little bit slow,
Oh, yeah.
but at a point it seemed like you kind of found your groove in district play. Was there like a match in particular where you all kind of found your identity as a team, or did it just kind of develop as you went along? Because it feels like the momentum on your season is just kind of built gradually as you've gone from week to week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, like, our biggest, like, turning point was playing at Anderson County for, like, because that was early in the season, and we went into 5 sets with them at their place, and I think it gave us a lot of confidence to be able to do other things.
I think it definitely made us realize that we could, like, go further as a team, like, go past just, like, regular season. And it definitely motivated more people on the team to, like, work harder.
So, and I was confused when Coach told me this. I knew the team was deep, but I did not realize that in your classification of volleyball that everybody had enough players at this point to have a complete JV district tournament. Have the teams gotten bigger? It feels like maybe there's more players on the team than we might have seen when you all were freshmen, that the rosters have gotten bigger and more people are interested in playing than it was? Is that kind of true?
I would say so. I mean, our grade was really big when we first came in, but, like, varsity-wise, we always kept around, like, I feel like we didn't have more than 12, and now we have, I don't know, like 15.
Yeah.
And it seems like we're like that for both, like, varsity and JV. Because this year we have, like, even amount between, like, returners and new people.
And maybe that's unfair to ask because you don't have the gray hairs and experience that Donnie and I have, but I can remember when volleyball was 9 people who also played basketball, just getting in shape for the season, and the season lasted maybe 3 weeks.
Yep, that's true.
And
not like that anymore.
No. So the big test question, we're going to judge your volleyball dedication on this. How much volleyball did you watch during the Olympics? Nobody wants to raise their hand on that one. You were too busy playing to watch, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that
a
works.
little
For
bit.
sure.
A few games. I feel like.
Yeah, maybe watched, like, a couple sets, but that's it.
And how many of you play on a club as well? Everybody plays on a club?
No, I don't.
You do.
Oh,
Okay.
me and Riley, yeah. We played on the same team for
Last year.
Yeah, last year.
And what club do you all play for?
K2.
K2. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. You can both answer. I mean, everybody can see you on the camera and know whose turn it was. How important? How much does that play into what you can do as far as playing a prep season, playing a club season? Does it take the whole year, or how does it kind of work out as far as time requirement?
Our high school season runs from like beginning of July till mid-October, and then club starts, like practices start in the middle of November, and runs through, it just depends on if you do the winter or the spring season. So if you do like the total time, it could go from like November to May, which I find really helpful because it keeps you like going and touching a ball and getting reps in, and it also helps with your skills, and you get like a new perspective from your different coaches and teammates. But like club, it's like I would say like twice the amount that high school is.
Okay. And Dylan, you do not.
No, I play travel softball.
That's where I was going to ask, because once you're playing multiple sports, then you're busy all the time.
Yes.
So I know Coach is just going to let y'all lay back and not do much of anything until the district tournament starts, and you don't have to worry about Monday night at all. Of course. So let me ask you, if you're not, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the last spot, but Blount County Championships are Monday night, round robin format. You get to play William Blount Heritage and Maryville all in one night. You all looking forward to this?
Yes.
Very much.
And how many of the players on those other three teams do you all play with on the club teams? Like, do you play with most of them on your
Yeah.
team or against them at K2?
Yeah, quite a few of them, like from each team.
Like,
Okay.
through club, you get to know like a lot of people from different teams, a lot of connections.
So is that a good thing or a bad thing when you're playing against them?
I think it could be a good thing because you know how they play, but also, like on the other side, they know how you play as well. So it's like kind of, I feel like it kind of evens out.
Is there any one-upsmanship going on as I got a big kill, so now she's going to get a big kill, and does that take
Definitely
place?
how it was with Anderson County. We know a girl on that team that we used to play with.
Yeah, she's like probably their best player, and it was like us and another girl, McKenna. She couldn't be here today, but she knew how all three of us played because we played together for a few months, but we also knew her like strengths and weaknesses, so I feel like that kind of helped us.
Yeah. I'm agree.
So, and, you know, we enjoy the fact we're big proponents of the county championships. We wish every sport had them. In fact, volleyball's one I would advocate we should expand and find some way to get the small schools involved.
Most definitely.
But
It's a great sport.
it is. And it's, you know, it's hard to say which one is growing faster in this county, but between volleyball, girls wrestling, and lacrosse, it is a very close race as to which one is growing the fastest right now. And they're not exclusive to each other because some of them are growing with the same players.
Right.
Because the seasons don't conflict. But I'll let you go in turn here. What makes this a good season? How far does Alcoa have to go for this to be a good season for you guys?
I'll go.
Yeah.
Going to state.
Going to state.
But make it like the best season probably.
I think making it past regionals to sub-state would be a really big accomplishment because we got to regionals last year and then lost in the first round. So I would really like to get past that.
Step at a time.
Step at a time.
I like it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Riley. Definitely going to Step State.
Just getting there is not it's not easy at any classification. It's not like it used to be. So high goals, and we appreciate that. I was going to see if Donnie was going to throw one more over. No, okay. So I'm out of time. So you all get off the hook pretty easily. Thanks for coming in and joining us this morning. I'm glad we were a great alternative to working and chasing balls at the JV tournament. So, but thank you all for getting up on Saturday and coming to visit with us. We wish you the best of luck. And the same challenge we issue to basically all the teams and guests that come to hang out with us. We love state championship trophies. So if you have one of those, you can get a free pass to come back as long as you bring your state championship trophy to put on the table and show off for us. Okay? Is that fair enough?
Yes.
Gotcha.
All right. Mike, let's go ahead and turn the page.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's time for a break, and when we return, it's the Boyd's Sports Spotlight, as Donnie Moore will be up with the Sports Headlines segment, and I'll be back to talk some college football. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to
Thank you,
install.
ladies.
We
Great
welcome
job.
you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the Boyd's Sports Spotlight. First up will be Donnie Moore with the sports headlines. And Donnie, anything going on this week?
Just a little bit, Mike. Just a bit.
Yeah.
shall we
Besides
say.
the weather.
Well, yeah, we still got lots of sports
Yeah.
headlines to go over here, and of course, lots of sports headlines, and of course, as always, they are brought to you by Fast Signs. All right, let's get to it. Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark has been named the 2024 WNBA Rookie of the Year. She is the third consecutive #1 overall pick to earn the honor. After an inconsistent start to the season, Clark just got better and better, leading the Fever to their first playoff appearance since 2016 and was in the thick of the MVP conversation, finishing 4th in the voting. Clark averaged for the season 19.2 points, 5.7 rebounds, 8.4 assists, and 1.3 steals per game, and while shooting 34.4% from the three-point arc, Mike.
And she did all that while all the other players in the league were beating her up.
That's right. Right.
Absolutely beating her up.
Mistreating her, weren't they? Man,
well,
they wore her
some,
out.
I'm not saying all of it was mistreatment, but some of it was.
You
I think
better
it was
believe it.
obvious. But, you know, for her first year, I think she did a great job.
I do
but,
too.
You know, I don't know what it is.
Glad
you know,
she got rewarded.
And, you know, she came in with a lot of notoriety, and that put a lot of pressure on her. And obviously some of those players that had been there a while, they didn't appreciate all that.
No,
so.
of course not.
But we do.
That's the way it is. Yes, we do. Fans do, and we do
Yep.
as well. Well, the Mountain West Conference is targeting 3 schools for football-only expansion from the MAC and the Sun Belt. Toledo and Northern Illinois from the Mid-America Conference and Texas State from the Sun Belt Conference are in consideration for joining the Mountain West Conference. With the addition of the 3, the Mountain West Conference would still not be recognized as an FBS conference by the NCAA, which says an FBS conference must have 8 full members. While Hawaii is a football-only member in the conference. Adding Toledo and Northern Illinois as football-only partners would bring the conference closer to having a strong football lineup, however. So let's wait and see how it goes, but, you know, good luck. Vince Carter will have his number 15 jersey retired by the Toronto Raptors on November 2nd when they host the Sacramento Kings. Carter, who is being inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame next month, played with the Raptors for his first 7 years. He was selected 5th overall in the 1998 NBA Draft. Carter's jersey will be the first one ever retired by the Raptors. Congratulations to Vince Carter.
Yeah.
I got you.
How about Donnie? You know, 2 different NBA teams doing this. The Brooklyn Nets are also going to, I believe, retire his jersey as well. So for Vince Carter, 2 different NBA teams doing it. You know, not many players get that opportunity and recognition. It says a lot about his career, and I definitely remember growing up watching Vinsanity and all the great plays he made.
Yeah.
So kudos to him.
Pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
With the Dodgers' 7-2 win over the Pods Thursday in Dodger Stadium L.A. clinched the National League West title for the 11th time in the last 12 seasons. New York Yankees also clinched the AL East Championship with Thursday's 10-1 thrashing of the Baltimore Orioles. In addition to the Dodgers and the Yankees, Phillies, Guardians, the Brewers, the Orioles, the Astros, and the Padres have all locked up postseason spots. Seeding has yet to be determined. Major League Baseball now grants 12 playoff positions, 6 to the division winners, and 3 wild card spots to each league. So everything should be decided by Monday or Tuesday. Well, Monday at latest, because Tuesday they start playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's decided soon. October is upon us.
Yeah, it's a good time of year. You know, you got
Sure is.
the baseball playoffs going on in the World Series, and you got college football going on, and
NBA's
around
about to
here
get started.
Around here you got high
Cranked
school
up.
football and all the other sports that do well around here, so life's good.
This is true. It is. Well, the eyes of the nation, possibly even the world, are going to be on Tuscaloosa as Georgia travels to Tuscaloosa to take on the number 4 Crimson Tide this evening at 7:30 on ESPN. Over 100 prospects, many of them elites, will gather for this matchup. This could very well be the college football game of the year.
We've also got 2 quarterbacks that are considered in the top 5 for the draft next year between Jalen Milroe and Carson Beck.
Sure.
Carson Beck, according to Mel Kiper, considered the number 1 quarterback coming into the draft. Milroe at number 5. So I think it'll be a good test, too. Scouts are going to be watching that game to see how each of those players perform against 2 really good SEC defenses.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
And also, I want to kick in. Do you think Milroe's draft stock is going to be impacted by what's happened with the Carolina Panthers? And that you had another Alabama quarterback of a very similar skill set who could not translate it to professional level?
I think the reason I would say no is he's got a new coach this year who can develop him a little bit differently. You've also got a coach in Kalen DeBoer that's more offensive-minded than Nick Saban was, who is defensive-minded. That's been one thing they talked about coming into this season, was that Kalen DeBoer has really kind of instilled a different kind of confidence into Jalen that he didn't have previously, and that has really kind of allowed him to take hold of this offense and do what he wants to with it. And DeBoer has had success everywhere he's been. And you look at what he did with Michael Penix last year, who's now the backup quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, and looked pretty good in the preseason, the opportunities he got. I don't think that stigma will stay with him because of that, but it is interesting, like you said, about what's happened with Bryce Young and kind of watching that. You're seeing some of the Clemson quarterbacks of old, too, kind of struggle right now with Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson in the NFL. Do people think about that with Cade Klubnik as well? But no, I don't think because of the coaching change that stays with him, but I'm curious to see how he does tonight.
Yeah. All right.
Funnier things have affected the draft. That's why I asked.
That's true.
What else you got, Donnie?
You are right. Well, I've got some on this day.
Well, those 2 teams are going to meet again.
Oh, yeah, they will.
They're going to meet again in the
They will.
playoffs. So, you know, if you don't like this one, you know, you're going to have another chance.
You get part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think I don't think they've seen the last of each other in this game or in this season. Well, on this day in sports, September 28th, here's what happened. 1919. The fastest Major League Baseball game in history was played. Yeah, it was. Only 51 minutes.
Wow.
A complete game. Giants 6, Phillies 1 in that game. 1920. 8 Chi Sox players indicted by the grand jury with fixing the 1919 World Series, otherwise known as the Black Sox scandal. That's right, Mike. Thank you. 1930. Lou Gehrig's errorless streak ends at 885 games. That's pretty incredible.
That's just amazing.
It really is.
I would have hated to been the umpire to call that.
Wouldn't you, though?
Or the guy that called the error on that play, you know, whoever made the call. Let's just say whoever made the call.
Yeah.
I would have hated to make that call.
But you also have to wonder, like we don't have, it's not analyzed like it is today where everything's on film where, you know, how many possible errors were ruled to be a hit in that streak because nobody wanted to be that guy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that happened. I'm just saying it's a possibility.
Yeah, there's a lot of games. No one probably wants to be that guy.
No, be the guy.
Absolutely not. 1940, football fan Bud Brennan. Remember that name? Races out of the stands and attempts to tackle Michigan running back Tom Harmon at the 3-yard line.
Oh, yeah.
Harmon deftly evaded the attempted tackle.
He didn't get him?
Nope.
That's why he was in the stands.
That's why he was in the stands, not on the field. That's right.
Well, you know, he's the 12th man. He needed to be out there, didn't he, Hodgson? If you're the 12th man, you got to run out there.
I thought he was going to say Morgana.
No, wouldn't touch that one. 1941, Boston's Ted Williams ends his season with a .406 batting average.
Been a while since that's happened.
It sure has.
It hasn't happened since. I don't
Well, there's one thing that the showstopper hasn't done yet.
What's that?
That's it.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
No doubt. Yeah, the people have flirted with it a time or two, but not.
Yeah.
406. Can you imagine? Yeah. 1952, Major League Baseball's legendary Cardinals outfielder Stan Musial made his only Major League pitching appearance, tossing one pitch to the Cubs' Frank Baumholtz.
Hey, going back to that one before, you got my curiosity. We need to check this out. I think Ty Cobb batted over 406 times, but we'll check that out. We'll check that out. But
it's just
but
been
they're
a
not
while
batting
since
400 today
No.
anywhere.
Well, Cobb was
No.
what, in the 20s? Was he played in the 20s?
Yeah,
Yeah, they
Teens
don't
and
consider
20s.
that the modern baseball era, I guess.
Well, he can't.
Still ought to be part of history.
He
though,
can't
if that's true.
defend it. He can't defend it now.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, he says he would. If you had him on the show, he'd probably say he could hit 350, and they'd say, "Well, that's below what you average." He said, "Well, I'm 100 years old.
Yeah.
I'm 150 years
Yeah,
old."
no kidding.
That's true.
Yeah.
1955, the first World Series color TV broadcast happened on NBC. The broadcasters, the announcers,
Pee Wee Reese
Idea?
and Dizzy Dean.
Mel Allen and Vin Scully.
Well,
Two
there
good
you
ones,
go.
weren't they? Those other two good ones as well.
Pretty good voices right there.
You got it. Vin Scully made a long career out of that, didn't he? 1960, Ted Williams hits his final home run, number 521, off of Jack Fisher of Baltimore. 521 homers. 1969, Minnesota Vikings quarterback Joe Kapp throws for 7 TDs on this date in a 52-14 home win over the Colts. The Baltimore Colts, that is. 1974, California Angel Nolan Ryan throws his third no-hitter of the season versus the Twins. Beat them 4-0.
Well, he could throw some heat.
I'm telling you.
Throw some punches, too.
Yeah, he could do that, too, couldn't he, Hod? 1975, Oakland's Vida Blue, Glenn Abbott, Paul Lindblad, and Raleigh Fingers combined to no-hit the California Angels 5-0. Well, that's some names, isn't it?
Yeah. Vida Blue could have probably done it on his own.
He probably could. Yeah. 1976, Muhammad Ali decisions Ken Norton in 15 rounds for the WBA, WBC, and the Ring boxing titles before they unified the titles. Beat Ken Norton in 15. It went 15, too. Wow. 1979.
Did he have anything to say after that bout, Muhammad
Well,
Ali?
I would imagine he did.
Dance like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
I'm the greatest.
I'm the greatest. Yeah.
1979, Larry Holmes TKO's Ernie Shavers in 11 for the WBC title, heavyweight title. Larry Holmes was a good fighter. Man, he was the champ.
Where have all the fighters gone, heavyweight?
That's a good question.
Las
Yeah,
Vegas.
back in our day, that was a big deal.
Vegas.
MMA.
Going to Vegas. Yeah, MMA too.
Yeah.
1988, Dodger pitcher Orel Hershiser breaks Don Drysdale's record by throwing 59 consecutive scoreless innings.
I remember that.
59.
We finally got to one I
consecutive.
can remember, Donnie.
Yeah, well, I know. Yeah, we're getting there, aren't we? Jumping to 2022, Yankees slugger Aaron Judge hits his 61st season home run, tying Roger Maris's 1961 American League record. 61 and 61.
Who beat Babe Ruth's 60.
That's right.
But Babe did it in 154 games, and these guys done it alone.
Yeah. That's true. 108, 182, 180?
If
What
you
they
got
play
some
now?
old timers there, they'll come
162.
back with that one on you.
Judge still got four games maybe left or three.
I think they've. Well, I saw where the Cubs, Chicago Cubs, that were had officially lost 121 games this season, and they've got 2 more games to play, so they
No,
might.
that wasn't the Cubs.
It's
was
a
it?
White
I'm
Sox.
the White Sox, not the
White
Cubs.
Sox.
My fault.
I was going to say, don't
No, it
don't
wasn't the
throw-
Cubs.
Cubs have been a little bit better now.
Yeah,
Don't throw
Cubs
our
are-
Cubs under the
Yeah,
bus.
this Chi Sox is
Yeah.
121 games in one season.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, Ty Cobb 3 times in his career over 400.
Okay. Well,
There you go.
I doubled him up.
Yeah,
I made him
1911.
look a lot better, but 3's pretty impressive.
Yeah, 1911,
It is.
1912, and then 1922.
So that last one came against Charlie Paleo.
Yes, it must have.
Okay.
Yeah, Charlie was pitching that game. One death to speak of in sports that happened on this day in 2003. Althea Gibson passed away. She was a 7-time Grand Slam tennis winner. Held 7 titles, and Grand Slam titles. Died at the age of 76. So Althea Gibson, she was a great tennis player. Well, that's all I have for sports headlines for the week. Sponsored as always and brought to you by Fast Signs. I'm Donnie Moore. Back to you, Mike.
Okie doke. Hey, I want to remind everybody that you're listening to the Goatee Sports page on WKCE 92.5 FM and 1180 AM on your radio dial, the station that plays the greatest music of all time. WKCE is my home station, and I hope you will make it yours. WKCE, where the music of the past lives today. And
There
it's
we
time
go.
to bring back in Heath Dunkel from the Alcoa Broadcasting
Two Hype Sports.
Sports over there, yeah.
Hype
And we've got Steve Hodson joining us here. He's been down to Maryville, where Maryville's absolutely running away with a football game, and so, he's journeyed up the street, so
It's
to speak.
halftime.
Yeah. And then, of course, Donnie Moore and
35-0.
Marcus Fitzsimmons are here. And Steve, since you're here, I'm going to hit you with this one. Reggie Bush. I want to talk a little bit about Reggie Bush. He's suing USC, the Pac-12, the NCAA for NIL compensation. Yeah, Reggie's going to try to collect some money. I think he played back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And he just got his Heisman Trophy back, Steve, so I guess he's needing some money on top of that, I guess. But your thoughts on Reggie trying to get compensation there on the NIL?
I think he's wasting his time, to be honest with you. The best person in the world on that is Saban. He hates the NIL money.
Yeah, he does.
The portals, he hates that. And I was listening to him today this morning on the game show, or big game.
Yep.
He was talking about that. He's got some proposals, and they're trying to get him just to be the overall commissioner.
Yeah. Well, he'd make a good one.
So
And,
Bush,
and
Yeah.
if you're Reggie Bush, and you're his attorney, how do you look at him with a straight face and A, tell him you got a good chance at this, but B, you're suing people who owe millions of dollars to other places. In their list of creditors, you are not going to make the top 10 to get a payout.
Yep.
The Pac-12 is broke. The NCAA will be broke when the settlement's done.
Yep.
And you're going to sue a school that's spending millions of dollars in travel to play in the Big Ten.
Heath, you want to get on Reggie's bus, or you want to just maybe stay off of it? Or what do you
Yeah,
wanna
I
do?
mean, I look at this situation, super interesting one for Reggie just because of what he went through in regards to getting his Heisman taken away. I think it has more to do with the fact that he's still angry about that, and this is just more retaliation than really just needing money. When you look at even the CNN article that talks about it, what it says is not only during his time at USC, but his time after in the NFL, where he feels like because of the situation, he lost some income. And so, to me, I think that's what they're trying to make the case of is, hey, it's not just about college when he wasn't receiving NIL, and there was an NIL during that period, but it affected him post his collegiate career because that lingered over his head. But I think at the same time, like, again, it's just him trying to get some revenge. The NIL's a mess, and I think the NCAA went from everyone fussing about them or them being too strict and not having too many restrictions to them going, fine, we'll let them all go. And then now they've created chaos, and it's hard once you let all that happen to reel it back in. So it's going to be really interesting to see if they're ever able to get it back under control. But what happened with the UNLV quarterback and what happened with the UNLV running back are just the latest examples and cases of why this has gone too far, and someone's going to have to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't. You know, when you had the lawsuit going back to 2016, that just made it worse.
Yeah.
That's made it worse. But where do you put the stop on it?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, my thoughts on it. I think Reggie, myself, and a lot of other people just played at the wrong time. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
We played at the wrong time.
I was going to ask you that.
And the thing that I'm going to say to Reggie is we need to get him a hat that says thank you for your service and go and leave it at that and go on. He can wear that hat around if he wants to, and everybody can shake his hand. But that's where it needs to be.
Well, they finally got him in the Heisman House commercials.
Well, yeah.
So, you know, he's in those now. Came
yeah.
out of the cryo chamber and that. They said he's finally free. So.
Yeah.
How much did you get, Mike, when you was hitting them from half court?
I didn't get anything. They gave us some movie passes to the movie theaters over there, all the players,
Now
and they gave that away.
Laundry
and,
money.
They fed
$15 a
$15
month for laundry
month
money,
for
and
laundry
that was it.
They fed you just a little bit.
That was it. There wasn't anything else. I mean, you know, outside of
Maravich made a little more than you.
Who?
Maravich.
Yeah. Yeah, well, his dad was
I'll-
coaching. That helps if your dad's coaching.
I will say this with Reggie's situation. It is very easy to bring a lawsuit. It is entirely something else to win one.
Yeah.
Oh, he's wasting his time.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well,
I'm just going to say this, and I'm not going to make it direct, but when you get picked up for prostitution, just because they legalize it a couple years later doesn't mean you weren't breaking the law back then.
I guess. Hey, Hodgson,
point.
if he wins this lawsuit and this thing just keeps progressing and progress,
It's over.
Steve, if he wins the lawsuit and it just keeps progressing and progress, would you go with me down to Joe Costner and see if we can't get something started here? Huh?
Yeah, well, I would. I would.
Yeah. Hey, Heath, let's change the subject. Hey, Michigan last week. Michigan, you know, they played Texas and they played Southern California.
Yeah.
Two pretty good football teams at home. And they beat, I thought this was crazy. They beat Southern Cal at Ann Arbor last Saturday, 27-24. They had 32 yards passing. That's putting it in the air, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they put it in the air, they just didn't catch it, or they didn't hit them in the right spot. I don't know, but 32 yards passing and win the game?
Airing it out.
That's pretty amazing in this day and age, is it not?
It is, yeah. They still don't have a quarterback. I mean, they made a switch last week, I believe, and still can't really figure out who's going to be the guy. You saw, I believe it was Barstool Sports come out this week and say that he's willing to donate $3 million a year moving forward towards the Michigan program to buy a quarterback in the portal. Again, going into what we're currently living in today's age of NIL, because they just don't have one. You lose J.J. McCarthy to the NFL, and they just haven't yet been able to replace him.
Yep.
Can't get Tennessee's. He's making too much money.
Yeah.
True.
UNLV's got one available.
Yeah.
They probably could pay him more than $100,000.
I bet you're right.
I said this last season, but for the players' perspective, they need to embrace where they are right now, because if they get that next step, where they are actually an employee with a contract, well, guess what, guys? You can be traded because the university now owns your work rights.
Yeah.
So if they don't like the way you're playing, or if they need a quarterback and you're the second team running back, you might find yourself moving in the middle of the semester to another team.
Yeah.
How is that going to impact college when you can start seeing schools with that kind of money on the table?
One of the conversations that was brought up this week about the UNLV quarterback situation specifically that I thought was a really good point was the fact that the agent has come out for him and said, well, they didn't follow this, they didn't do all of this. They had nothing in writing.
Not
and
a
so
thing.
if you were going to transfer because they guaranteed you $100,000 and you didn't get it in writing, really that's kind of on you and your agent. Like
that's
at
on
that
your
point.
agent, and that's the one thing that, well, it's one of many things that's wrong with this system. But unlike the NFL or NBA or professional sports leagues, there's no system in place as to who's an agent in this and who can work with the collective on your behalf, and what there is no standard about what's an agreement and what's not.
Absolutely.
So, if you're a kid and you're 22 years old and the guy says we have a deal, but you don't know to ask him, can I see the contract? Then yeah, it's your fault, but you don't know any better. You're supposed to you're paying this guy to represent you and get that in writing for you.
I don't think we really explained the situation to our viewers, but the UNLV quarterback, Matthew Sluka, who had led UNLV to 3 victories.
3 wins.
3 wins,
3-0.
first 3 games, 3-0. He was in the transfer portal and came to UNLV, and they guaranteed him $100,000.
He says.
And he says
he
says he was guaranteed $100,000, but he didn't get the $100,000, so he's not playing. He's done. He's not. He's played his last game.
They gave him like $3,000 a month.
Yeah, and he's played his last game there until they come across the.
Well,
they
what
come
he's
across the
done
money. I guess my question is,
it's
if
3 games, you keep your season of eligibility so he can transfer again.
Yeah. Well, anyway, why did he wait? I mean, if he didn't get the $100,000, why did he even enter the game 1, or why didn't he get on? Why didn't he get on the practice field? It seems like a lot of times that money's given up front. So why now?
He says he was just trying to get it worked out.
That's what we're referring.
And then
to.
it was
They didn't
followed
see
up.
it that
He said the running back is.
Yeah, so the
running back is doing the same thing.
So the very next day, after he posted that he was sitting out the remainder of the season, the running back for them as well, he didn't come out and say it was NIL. He actually came out and said it wasn't, but he said that there was opportunities not given, that he made the decision that he was going to sit out, and then he would be in the portal considered a redshirt junior running back for anyone who's looking for him. The hard thing, too, is, the people have talked about this week, which is another great point, is yeah, you think that you're creating yourself an opportunity now by going in the portal to find somewhere else to play. But what team is going to want you knowing the type of player you are? And so are you going to be worth the headache bringing into that program? You have to be pretty good for them to be able to overlook that and say, we'll make it work. We'll feel confident he'll stay on our team the full season. So I'm curious to see how that plays out for both of them. But an interesting move. It's one thing to sit out a bowl game. We've seen that more and more often. But now we're starting, because of the world of NIL, to see players just sit out the rest of the season. It's again, continuing to create more chaos.
Before we get out here, and I know we got to get out, but this kind of goes with NIL money and young kids being recruited, come out of high school. Most of you know, we had a recruit out of my hometown, Greenfield, Indiana, Braylon Mullins. Went to Greenfield Central High School. He's one of the top 25 in the country recruits, and he had lined up a visit to come to Tennessee on the Alabama weekend to visit here. And a week ago, he canceled his visit to Tennessee, and he canceled his visit to Duke. So my question is, and he has now narrowed it down to Connecticut, Indiana, and North Carolina. He took those 3 visits and Michigan. He went to Michigan, but he did not take his Duke visit and his visit here to Knoxville. Now, from my end of it, I'm highly disappointed. I'm highly disappointed that he's not going to come here, and I'm just wondering what is the mentality with these kids that are being recruited today. In my day, when you made a commitment to somebody to go there as a recruit, you went to visit that school. If you're not into that school, don't make that commitment in the first place. That's my feeling. But if you make that commitment, honor that commitment and go to that school. A couple of weeks is not going to make that big a difference, and for God's sakes, it's just a commitment. You're not signing anything.
Yeah.
And if he goes to Indiana and Woodson, the head coach at Indiana, gets fired this year, he may not end up at Indiana. You know, because he's just committed. The deal's not done until I think February, and you sign the dotted line. But would somebody, before we get out of here, and Heath, I'll go with you because you're around kids a lot more than I am, but is that generally the mentality right there, that you would just break something off like that or not? Or am I just overreacting because I'm disappointed?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's varying opinions. I think for me personally, I think any opportunity to go visit a school and see what they're about until, like you said, you sign the dotted line is an opportunity to find out if maybe you're missing something you didn't know you previously were missing. And so get a chance to give each school to give you their pitch, see what they've got to offer you. There's a lot more to the school than just on the field. You want to see what's going on off the field and the other things they can do for you academically if your sports career doesn't work out. I think the other interesting thing, and I heard this from someone recently, was that some people are taking recruiting trips because even if they're not committing, those schools are giving them money when they step off the plane. And so, again, world of NIL that we live in, that this is happening. But I hate to see any kid not – I mean, I would have killed to have an opportunity for Duke or Indiana or anyone to call me and say, hey, why don't you just come see our school? We'd love to give you a tour. I mean, I would have just jumped at the chance to go to any of those schools and check them out. And so I think that you should, like you said, if you make a commitment, my dad always taught me when you commit to something, you see it through. And so I think that if you make a commitment to go to the school, you go to the school and visit.
Well, in this particular case, there's no rush. I mean, for God's sakes, it's a commitment. And then that's a whole another discussion, because sometimes – these kids, they don't honor the commitment. You know, they end up going someplace else. But, you know, the signing date's not until February. I didn't really see what the rush was. You know, come down and see the school and go with it. But that's just me talking, and I'm kind of old school, and
well, Mike,
I'm a little disappointed.
You can say you're old school, but even from the perspective, if you're a player in this day and age and you've got Division I offers, the smart thing to do is to take those visits and make those connections, because you don't know when there's going to be a coaching change.
Exactly.
You don't know what the situation's going to be. And if you've got that freedom to transfer that your peers have fought for and gotten for you, why would you burn those connections by making a commitment saying I'm going to come visit you and then pull out of it, when it's just as easy to make the trip and actually get a chance to look at another school?
Yeah. Well, I would love to make this comment, you know, to Indiana people and to people in my hometown, but, you know, I would get, well, yeah, you're fine when you left the state. You know, you went to Tennessee, you know, down there. You know, we like our players to stay at home. That's what you would probably get in Indiana. But to me, it wouldn't make any difference. I still think that if you made a commitment, you should come and see. So who knows? Anyway, when you make a choice to go to a college to play, you really don't know whether it's going to work out or not. In essence, it's a crapshoot. It's a real crapshoot. All the things got to fall in place for things to work out in your college career.
Well, and there's certain factors, a coach getting fired while you're there, or other things happen that are understandable for your reason to think about leaving. But with the world of NIL, with the world of transfer for portal as well, it's making it more and more easy to not keep commitments and to be able to just jump ship and go wherever you want to go. And I think that's the tough thing, too, in today's sports age.
Yeah. You sound like Kirby Smart, because you know his thoughts about that. You commit to Georgia, you stay at Georgia. He doesn't go to the transfer portal. Of course, he doesn't have to. He's got 5 stars.
No, he's got them coming to him. He's got them coming to him. Yeah. Hey, it's time for a break, and when we return, we'll be back to close out today's show. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable.
About 5 minutes.
Their motto still stands true today. Call us first. We'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensonTire.net.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and along with Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons and Heath Dunkel and Steve Hodson. And we got a few minutes left. I want to talk about a little bit about the Georgia, number 2 Georgia at number 4 Alabama game today and how big a game it is. And I want to, Heath, I want to look at what they got in front of them or after today and how big a game this really is. Georgia is at Alabama today away. They got Texas away, and they got Tennessee at home, and they got Ole Miss away. That's pretty daunting right there. Georgia's pretty brutal. That's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Huh?
It sure is.
Yeah, well, and the Texas game especially, you got Georgia, who early in the season was the number 1 team in the country, and then after struggling with Kentucky, Texas jumped them and became the new number 1. So after today's game against Alabama, finding out between those, if Georgia wins, going against Texas, who the true number 1 team in the country is.
Yeah, and now let's look at Alabama. Alabama is at LSU away. They got Tennessee away. They got Missouri at home, Oklahoma away, and Auburn at home. Now you're saying, well, Auburn. But, Auburn, that can get a little sticky at times. But that's pretty daunting, too.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Auburn game last year, a game that Auburn shouldn't have been in, but rivalry games bring out the best in teams, and Alabama was able to win that one at the very end. LSU, same kind of situation. LSU's not as good as they have been in the past, but rivalry games bring out a lot. In Bama, between when they play Auburn, when they play LSU, those are always great ball games.
And they're playing in Baton Rouge, and that's probably a night game, which won't be easy.
It should be.
Now then, let's look at the other side after we've seen this side, and we look at Tennessee, and you're going, hey, we got Georgia and Alabama. We got Georgia and Alabama. Now, which one of those would you rather have? Would you rather have Georgia's schedule, Alabama's final schedule, or Tennessee's final schedule?
Well, don't forget Ole Miss in that mix, too.
Yeah, I know.
Because Ole Miss is going to have Alabama and Georgia as well, right?
I understand that. But
they don't have Tennessee either.
Yeah, but Ole Miss they're not there yet. Georgia's there, Alabama's there, and we're in a position, we're in our best position to get there based on schedule.
But
which one you like, Heath? You're spending a lot of time there thinking.
Yeah, well, just comparing the 3 that you're talking about. I mean, I honestly think I think Tennessee's got the best path moving forward. If I'm looking at just some of the different intricacies of the schedule, like we talked about, Texas, the number 1 team in the country, Georgia's going to have to face them, faces Alabama, faces Tennessee, and then Ole Miss, like you said, they haven't really been tested yet, but Ole Miss considered one of the top 10 teams in the country. Alabama's schedule, you've got rivalry games that are tough. Missouri is just an interesting team. I think Drinkowitz has done a really good job with them this year. But again, they almost lost to Vanderbilt. And so what is this Missouri team really this year? I still don't know if we've fully figured that out. Oklahoma's a winnable game. Auburn should be, but it's a rivalry game. Tennessee, you got to get past those 2. But what I would also say is, as much as I don't want to say this, don't sleep on Florida just yet, because I feel like the years we have is the years they've come up and beat us and surprised us. And I hope that's not the case this year. I expect us to win. But, again,
I'll tell you what, if I am Georgia, I want the schedule I have in front of me, because if you count today, they potentially have 5 games against top 5 teams in that schedule. If you go 4-1 against that, and if you're Georgia, you believe you can go 5-0 against that, then you've made yourself the number 1 seed.
Right.
You've got your chance to win yourself the number 1 seed. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Georgia could probably lose 2 games with that right there and get in. And
well, beyond getting in, but they have the opportunity to, no doubt, make themselves not only in, but the number 1 seed. They've got the schedule that can do that. Yeah. Very few teams have that in front of them.
Well, and if you're Ohio State, you're probably sitting back hoping these teams just beat each other up and allow you to sneak past them to become the new number 1, as long as Ohio State can finally get over the hump against Michigan.
All right. Steve Hodson, which one of them schedules you like?
Tennessee's got the weakest schedule as far as all of it, but Tennessee really hadn't been tested, so to speak. I tell you, Texas is tough. I don't know how the little Manning boys are going to do, but Texas overall is tough. You mentioned Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's not a pushover this year.
No, we should have raised that question. We don't know who Vanderbilt is yet.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's okay. Vanderbilt
They beat
doesn't know who
Virginia Tech
Vanderbilt is.
and really should have beat Missouri.
Yeah.
Huh? Now, I don't know what happened against Georgia State, but anyhow.
Credit to Clark Lee, though, helping that program out.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Texas. Evers or Manning? Evers or Manning at quarterback? Heath?
I think for now I would still roll with the veteran Quinn Ewers this season. I'm interested. I believe he has the chance to come back next year. I imagine he will probably go to the draft. You would wonder if he came back for another year, what would Manning do? At that point, he seems pretty committed to Texas. But I think Manning, while he's shown some really great flashes in his opportunity, he's still young, and you saw some mistakes in that last game. I think Ewers is the one you ride with, and you're really thankful you've got such a great backup.
Yeah. I think Steve Hodson for a Manning, he's been very patient, don't you think?
Yes. Yeah. Like the rest of them.
He's he's had the luxury to be patient.
I guess.
If you look at all the comparisons they make, all of them came into situations where they got thrown into the fire too soon and had to make the best of it.
Yeah.
Well, and he's got wheels like his granddad, unlike
well, thankfully,
Eli
he needs them.
Peyton.
No doubt. They're not like Peyton's anyway.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny this week when they posted online each of the Manning's first starts, what their stat line was, and an Eli Manning quote tweeted it, and he said, "I win," because he had the best stat line out of everybody.
But he got like an FCS team his first game, whereas Peyton got like Washington State and a decent Washington State team.
I just wonder what kind of effect that has on your football team when you have two players like that that good that's causing a controversy, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way Manning has handled it has helped to where there really hasn't been one. But I think if you're that team, you have to be pretty excited and confident knowing that if one goes out, you've got a good chance to still be rolling with the next one.
Yeah. Heath, Dunkel, thanks for being with us this morning. We'll look forward to having you back.
Absolutely.
And Steve Hodson, good to see you, guy.
Good to see you, pal.
All righty.
Good luck
Donnie
Friday.
Moore, get us out of here. Hey, that'll do it for today's edition of the Goatee Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael back at Loud Media and our host, the Bluetick Tavern, and all our sponsors. For Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons, until next Saturday, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.
And that's the final whistle. Join us again next Saturday for the Goatee Sports Page. The best in local sports since 1978.